Hey everyone, welcome back to Prehistoric Kingdom. Today we're working on 3 smaller enclosures. Animal reveals and Nigel talks at the end of the video. The enclosures we're visiting today is the Dilophosaurus, Psittacosaurus, and the Iguanodon. I threw these 3 together because they don't require a whole lot of space or decoration compared to some of the other enclosures we've done. And to do a time lapse on them, the video would be a short at that point. I was done filming the Dilophosaurus enclosure and the baby reveal after 20 minutes. When filling out the Dilophosaurus pen, I made it more barren with a little oasis and rocks scattered about. The colors of the Dilophosaurus really make it to blend in with the terrain, as I didn't notice one when I was observing them until it moved. I was happy to see these creatures done so well, and I hope that I did the enclosure justice. I'm thinking about setting up strategic spotlights through the zoo for nighttime viewing, and I think the Dilophosaurus enclosure would be great for some low lights filtered at ground level, and the whole enclosure feels like it matches the Torvosaurus one well. I noticed a unique animation with the Dilophosaurus, and only caught part of it on camera once. They do this ground inspection and lunge movement. It seems to occur really rarely. I'll have to watch them for a long time and see if it happens again. I was really amazed to see furry babies in this species. My imagination had the babies without the protofeathers, so to see them with down was just too precious. I always find it a little bit hard to figure out how to do bulrushes and palm trees around water. It shouldn't be that difficult considering I have bulrushes outside my house, but for some reason, I just can't quite figure out how they fit. I should take some pictures the next time I'm outside and study it further. When I was putting down a lot of the cacti and succulents in the area, I was hoping to space them out well. I didn't really want them to be very clustered in areas. I wanted it to be a way for the Dilophosaurus to kind of hide and blend in with its surroundings. While working on the Psittacosaurus enclosure, I was hoping to have a dense, humid, coniferous forest kind of feeling, with a layer of pine needles and thicker ferns. But sadly, they don't like super dense areas, and it came out okay, but not what I had intended. I had wanted to give them a small dirt burrow, but I don't think the landscaping tool will let me do that, so instead I built them a small cave den, which I think could realistically meet their needs. In this situation, I was happy that the modular system was in place for the rocks. I was able to squish them down so that I could make them into a roof for the den. I tried to make sure that I had a bunch of foliage and ferns kind of growing on top of the den so that it would look a little bit more in place for the whole habitat. I'm not too sure if I pulled it off well or if it just kind of came out as man-made. I'm okay with it if it does come out just looking man-made. I hope the landscaping tool will be a bit more in-depth and precise in the future. Or if it's already possible to do all this, I hope I learn the correct way soon. I was happy when I had to reduce the size of their pond and the jagged edges went away. I'll have to remember it in the future and make ponds and rivers bigger and then clean them up to see if that is consistent with removing jagged edges. Also, I was not expecting the Psittacosaurus to have such triangular heads and beaks. Not sure what I was expecting, but it wasn't that. Now, for the Iguanodon, I had wanted it to be a little hilly and a little swampy, to match the other enclosures around the area, with a lot of low, thick foliage, but ended up they didn't want too much vegetation. So I used the landscape painting tool to make the enclosure have a muddy, kind of marshy appearance to it, which also fits most of the trees I placed in and around the area. The babies are adorable with this quiet quack kind of noise, and overall the species feels like the most laid back and kind of lazy. I was expecting them to lay down and rest a lot more than they actually did. To be honest, I didn't notice if they even had a resting animation. I also expected the species to be smaller given their low space requirement, and was very surprised when I encountered their size. I had really wanted to make the enclosure for the Iguanodon have a kind of misty or foggy look to it. I forgot to look to see if there is some of the misty or cloudy, foggy effects in the build menu. I know that there is the waterfall stuff. Someone will have to remind me to look another time. But that's really all I have to say on the Iguanodons. Their enclosure wasn't particularly exciting or different compared to some of the others that are around them, and they themselves didn't really have a whole lot of character for me to speak on. So, with that, I'll let you guys continue watching the rest of the video, and let me know what you think.
Iguanodon, one of the first dinosaurs to be formally named. Iguanodon is also one of the first dinosaurs to be sculpted. The original sculptures can still be seen in Crystal Palace Park in London. The artist behind the sculptures, Benjamin Waterhouse Hawkins, famously hosted an 8-course dinner inside one of the incomplete sculptures on New Year's Eve, 1853. How's that for a party? Reconstructions of this animal have changed dramatically over the years, from a giant rhinoceros-like reptilian beast to the beautiful animal you see before you now. It really makes you wonder, what will paleontologists discover next to fundamentally change the way we view other dinosaurs? This creature's restorations weren't always perfect, though. See those thumb spikes? They were once thought to be nasal horns, sort of like an iguana's. Very wrong, of course, but A+ for name inspiration. Now this little fella is a Psittacosaurus. Just like other ceratopsians, Psittacosaurus is a herbivore, but its sharp beak and simple jaws are better suited to tough plant material such as nuts or seed. A word of advice though, be wary of that beak. They're a little nippy. Just looking at its face, you might not realise that this was one of the first ceratopsians. It may lack a frill and forward-projecting horns, but you can still see the resemblance in its strong beak and its cheek horns. Thanks to a number of recent findings, we were able to restore this creature to a high degree of genetic accuracy, right down to the quills and coloration in some of its species. Dilophosaurus is such a gorgeous creature. Those graceful notched jaws can pack a powerful bite. But watch out for those arms. Their length and mobility make it all too easy for Dilophosaurus to bring prey straight to its mouth. So if the teeth don't catch up, its arms just might. With its magnificent double crest and that noticeable notch in its jaw, it's one of the most recognisable predators to ever live. I'll never understand the guests who think it isn't cool enough as it is. Fancy frills and baubles would only take away from such a beautiful but deadly creature.